Good morning. Good morning, guys. Jay, good morning. What's up, brother? Well, I mean, they certainly can afford it. Was that actually news this morning? SPCX. Agrees to buy, AI coding agent Cursor for 60 billion. I'm actually kind of surprised that it's that inexpensive. I know that sounds crazy, right? Because that technically costs more than Twitter, but just you've heard Jensen rave about Cursor quite a bit. So for it to be that inexpensive, kind of the shocker. Rackspace. Oh wow. PURR. CYTK. LGN. I don't hate what this LGN looks like. I love that it's held the 50-day. So not bad. Not bad. APPS. What was the news on RXT this morning? Anything? What was the reason for this push? Oh, got it. AMD to deploy compute hardware for Rackspace data centers. AMD and Rackspace Technology agreed to the phased deployment of the initial 30 megawatt footprint for AMD's base compute. Okay, got it. No financial terms disclosed. NTAP. Yeah. This one kind of looks like every other software stock at the moment. You know, if you look at NTAP, right, where you've had this big move up and then all of a sudden you just kind of float higher or float lower, and then you look at Snowflake, it's the exact same thing. Big move up, you know, just kind of gently pull back. Okta's the same thing. They all look identical. You could pay attention to NTAP or Snowflake or Okta or Datadog. It's the same exact trade. It's the exact same trade. Yeah, new all-time. I mean, they're slightly gapping down right now. I'm assuming they can go hit an all-time high for sure, but net. Yeah, these are all kind of the same trade, basically. Software should be pretty interesting to see if software can start to catch a bit. GLW, fine. I mean, a little sloppy here, but consolidation. I mean, this thing has been in a steady trend, so can't dislike it too much. I definitely do think about Arval, but it's not, you know, my entry tactics aren't always breakouts. Sometimes I like to buy pullbacks into an ascending moving average, and there isn't really relative volume in those areas, unless, of course, you're getting a shakeout, then you get a pickup in volume, then you start to reclaim a key level. But there are some instances with the way that I'm buying, there's not always Arval on a breakout because I'm not always buying, or should I say there's not always RVol where I'm buying because I'm not always buying a breakout. So yeah, Frog is the same thing. Frog is the same exact thing. You just pull back into the 20 and made a big move up, pull back into the 20, just like a lot of the other software stocks. Still trades in the range. Yeah. Still trades in the range of this Friday bar. I mean, almost at that point, I mean, just leave it alone until eventually you clear this spot. Griffin, happy to help, brother. Do you bookmap or anything like that? No, I don't use bookmap. No, I'm not an intraday trader, so it's really irrelevant to me. My focus, what makes my trading life a little bit easier, is focusing on groups. Right? Every time I look at anything, I think about groups because institutions leave their footprints on groups, right? They never just buy one stock in a vacuum, right? Like think about semiconductors, how strong they've been in semiconductor equipment and materials. Has it just been AMAT moving? No, it's been AMAT and KLAC and LRCX and ASML, right? Has it just been Micron moving? No, it hasn't. It's been Micron with SanDisk, with WDC, with STX, right? Was it just Iron moving when Iron was moving? No, it was moving with Wolf and Hut and Cypher, and the list the others in the group. And that's how really it's always been, and it'll always be that way. And so, even when you look at a group pulling back like software, has it just been like one software stock, like absolutely crushing the others? No, not really. They've all just been kind of slowly pulling back. Yes, some outperforming others, but effectively them all acting very, very similar when you look at an NTAP and a Datadog, and go down the list. Your Twilio, your Okta, these charts are almost identical. And when charts go up in a group, they tend to go up together. When they pull back, they tend to pull back together, and they just move together. And institutions leave you footprints that I don't really care too much about bookmap and volume shelves, and that none of that really affects any of my trading, right? Where do you buy something? When do you buy something? What are you buying? How much of it are you buying? Where are you trimming? How are you trailing? That's, try to keep it as very simple as possible, and focus on what institutions are looking at. And what are they looking at? Yeah, birds of a feather flock together. And what are they looking at? Right? How do you know what they're looking at? Groups that have been outperforming everything else. Anything within the top 40 groups is usually pretty good. I don't think you have to feel too bad about Intel. I don't feel you have to feel too bad about Intel. It's actually gapping down. Not only did it reject, this little high yesterday, it's actually gapping down. So, down about 2%. So I don't feel like you've missed anything. You're just still base building, which is totally healthy, completely fine, no big deal. And and I was talking about this yesterday in the room. You can't really go buying Intel yesterday. I almost couldn't. I literally did nothing yesterday. You can't go chasing a gap up. Even if you did, in most instances, your stocks went nowhere. So Like, yes, I'm sure I could find the 5 stocks that if you bought the open yesterday, you were green. Um, but there's a lot of names that if you chase the gap up, the stock went nowhere. MRAM, probably a name that I would leave alone. Not many ideas out there. I mean, I'm definitely focused on software. You bought Intel Thursday and Friday. The Thursday was perfect day, dude. Nice job on that one. Thursday was absolutely perfect, I thought. I didn't buy it. There's a few names that I regret not buying on Thursday. So, do I ever buy a gap up? Yes, but it's got to be with a catalyst. I don't just buy a gap up with no news, right? That's just asking for trouble. My views on SMH, I mean, obviously it's the leading sector. Semiconductor equipment and materials is the best group, but I wouldn't go buying this today. And if it goes higher, great, but there's just not a lot for me to do here with the SMH right now. Slight little gap down in pre-market, not like it's a big deal, but yeah, not a ton to do. Not a ton. You bought Intel on both Thursday and Friday and kicked myself out, increasing my stop to break even. But hold on a second. Hold on a second. If you bought it Thursday and Friday, how did you get kicked out with bringing your cost basis up? If you bought it Thursday, like 114, then you bought it Friday, 119 and a half, like you'd have like a 117-ish cost basis. How'd you kick yourself out? Yeah, RXT. Yeah, we'll see how it trades today. I don't think that that's a name I'd personally buy, but Circle, probably best for me to still leave this one alone. Ivan, do you think you're still maybe using a little bit too much size? So you bought on the 5-minute ORB and then stopped out, then rebought on Friday and was kicked out on the first 5-minute swing down. Do you think you're using a little bit too much size so that you're not able to use low of day? And that's kind of messing with you? How do I enter you? Unity? Is this what you're asking about? How do I enter you? Because if this is what you're asking, I won't even bother answering because it's below the 200-day. Good morning, sir. How are you doing, brother? A-Lab, I just find to be gone at the moment, and there's just no way for me to buy this as it's almost 8 times its ATR from the 50. So A-Lab, I have to leave alone. Dell's still a touch extended as well, but Crowd, I don't hate, right? I don't hate it. But with the gap down on earnings, I don't know. For me, this is just kind of a leave alone at the moment. Okta, I don't mind as much. I think Okta, for me personally, is a little bit better. You get this gap up on earnings, and then you get a pullback with the rest of software. I don't see this thing doing anything wrong at the moment, so definitely one I'm keeping an eye on. Definitely one I have to keep an eye on. Okta, Datadog, Twilio. Yeah, not bad. I think software is still not that bad. You tried Twilio yesterday. My only problem with Twilio yesterday is software, right? You don't understand, dude. I literally watched Datadog for like 4 hours yesterday, just like waiting for it to break a prior day high, waiting for some volume to come in, and nothing. So yeah, it's a software issue. I don't think it's a stock issue. I think it's a software thing. Several charts seem to be setting up for potential shorts. Thoughts on that from a general? I need the market to start to show some distribution, right? Getting in short with the market just hanging out well, I can't really do it. Yeah, Dawkins, man, this chart is choppy. It's like just grinding higher, but it's choppy. Again, I'm going to need it to push. And the problem is it goes and takes out a prior day high and then kind of fades, and then goes and takes out a prior day high and then fades, and takes out a prior day high and fades. It's tough. Thoughts on the quantum stocks? I personally don't love them that much, to be honest with you. Yeah, I just don't love them that much, man. The only reason IONQ is even a company is because they bought a company who makes money. That's the thing. My thoughts on service now. Have you put a 200 simple moving average on your chart? If you have, you know my feelings about it. It's below the 200, brother. No reason to do anything with it. IBM, ugh. Dude, this thing is just so sloppy, though. I mean, it's obviously shown you the ability to make a nice move, but just so sloppy. I don't know. Probably leave that one alone. UMAC. Better. I mean, this thing's also gapping down. We'll see what it does today. We'll see what it does. Who knows? Maybe is a 20 simple moving average UNR. Maybe. What about waiting for the 30-minute opening range high and what conditions? Yeah, 30-minute is fine. I think so long as you're sizing properly so that you know that you're using the low of that 30-minute bar, it doesn't matter if you use a 5-minute, a 30-minute, a 60-minute, a break of a prior day high, so long as you're buying stocks in, and this will help you increase your success. Stocks in top 40 groups, if they've got good earnings and sales, great. If they've got a nice tight setup, meaning you're not risking it's not like 10% to stop to low of day, right? Like anything within like 6%, keep your stops, or keep your position sizing reasonable. 10% position sizing, I think is smart. Yeah, I think that makes the most amount of sense. Top 40 groups, good earnings and sales, clean technical setup, proper position sizing, and then showing up when the market's obviously, with the direction at your back, and not so much the market as much as it is the group. Sometimes, people will misinterpret when I say the market. I don't always mean the QQQ or the S&P 500. If you're trading gold stocks, I mean the gold market, right? If you're trading crypto names, I mean the crypto market. If you're trading, right, and you're just judging price action for the group more than you are the S&P 500 as like a general blanket. So yeah, 30-minute, totally fine in my opinion. Not a big deal. Thoughts on Google needs to clear the 20 SMA. I kind of like the range that this thing is building. No real problems with it at all. Yeah, I don't have any issues with Google. Be good if we can clear a last, 2 Tuesdays ago high. / Thursday's high. I mean, just clear this 373 level, and that'll coincide with the 20-day as this comes down just a little bit further. Hey, girl. Hey, buddy. Guys, check out the new one. We got the new one here. She made it. Say hello. Say hello. Good morning, buddy. And this is the original. This is the original. Okay. Then we got my girl floating around somewhere. Roy Vant. Let's take a peek. This Roy Vant was so good down here. I have a 10-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 8-week-old. Yeah, Bernie's. The last one was a Bernie's. She's awesome. She's in my office, babe. You want her? All right. All right. Okay. Yeah, Roy Vant, not bad. I really try to not trade these individual biotechs too much, but this thing has just been so steady. It's been incredibly steady. She's gonna be her name's Bella, and she's a mini, so she'll be like 20 pounds. Yeah, STX has been awesome. I mean, gap up to 1,000. I don't know if you guys were paying attention to WDC. I mean, that one's pretty unbelievable. So this one also got a gap up this morning. If we got this gap up and we get another push like yesterday, we could start to look for potential short on some of these things. Just is what it looks like. I mean, start to get a little parabolic on those names. Yeah, Nvidia. I mean, I like that it's back above the 50. What do I think about AOI here? I like two things. One, I like that it's held the 50 simple moving average. I like that it's been consolidating after a big move up. What I don't like is that this is wide and loose, right? Like some of these range bars, like you're going up 30% in a day from low to high. And then you're going down 20% in a day, like up 30%, down 20%, right? Up 20%. You just start to deal with, down double digits. It just is some heartache to be in that stock. So you either have to keep the smallest position size ever or almost not at all. It's just very, very uncomfortable. So, tough. Yeah, I don't use MACD too much, but yes, when I am using it with the 620 setup, yeah. ACLS, yeah, another semiconductor stock. I mean, these things are just awesome at the moment. Was ACLS a good play you bought last Thursday? I mean, beautiful, dude. Beautiful. Now you get this 3 days of momentum. Maybe, I don't know, your cost basis, you get this like 15, 17% move. That allows you to reduce into the push and then just hold the rest against the ascending 10 and 20. Max positions open in one day. I mean, 2, 3, 4, depends the market. If we're coming off of a correction and I've got a bunch of names triggering on my watch list and the first one goes to work right away, I'll take that second and that third and that fourth one fairly quickly. Do you have a process for stop loss selling half? No, just low of day. Yeah, low of day. MSOS, what's this thing still doing? No, dude. Probably best for me to just leave these things alone. Yeah, focus on Okta, Twilio, Dockin, Datadog, Snowflake. Even NTAP, I was just looking at it right now, all fine. Am I scared of adding new semi exposure up here or looking for new sectors? No, I don't. I'm not scared of adding semi exposure. It's just, it's got to it's got to not be extended. So it can't be greater than 4 times its ATR from the 50. That's number one. And that's kind of what I don't have in some instances with these names. So I can't really have them be extended. Hut's a strong one. Yeah, Hut's on my radar. Obviously, Wolf saw a new all-time high yesterday. Hut, to me, looks pretty damn constructive. You have NBIS from Friday. Very nice. Yeah, yesterday was a huge day. Dave finally broke out. Yeah, good. Huge base, too. Huge base. Nice to see. AOI spot on. Stopped out of your long and short. Yeah, volatility is through the roof on that name. Through the roof. Super uncomfortable. HYLN, isn't this like a stock from 2021 that just got absolutely destroyed? 2020 and 21. Let me look. I mean, yes, super strong. But it's 8 times its ATR from the 50, so it's not one that I can buy. Yeah, this one's been one of those from back in 20 and 21. I remember this one like it was yesterday. Yeah, there's not much to do here while it's 8 times its ATR from the 50, unfortunately. AVGO, recent gap down on earnings. For me, I just leave those names alone. FLEX. Yeah, interesting name. I mean, if somebody bought it right near the 20-day yesterday, fine. I don't really see anything to do with it here, but yeah, Newmont, a bunch of the GDX related names, a bunch of the gold stocks, not bad. Would like to see NEM reclaim a GDX reclaim the 200. You know, gold still has some work to do. Thoughts on Kava? Food stocks are shaping up. Yeah, it's not just Kava. Cake has been pretty dang strong. Not bad. Is Sweet Green still above the 200? Yeah, food stocks are definitely shaping up. Thoughts on MXL? Still got to get over that 104 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's eventually got to get over 104. I don't really like, I wouldn't show up to buy this thing today. Do I see a short in GDX? I mean, positioning doesn't really support gold getting smoked here, but yeah, if the DXY is going to break out, it's got a pretty crystal clear level to break out of. Until it does, you know, I'm not going to really be more negative on gold. Gold's already gotten kind of smoked. So if I enter a trade, should I be selling after 2-3 days? Yeah, I like 3 to 5 days. I mean, 2 days is fine depending on the push you get. You know, it really just depends. Your group, the market, how soon we're coming off of a follow-through day, if we've just had a market correction or not. You know, a lot of small nuances. So just to be like, yeah, sell it after 2-3 days, there's some nuances there, but for the most part, I like to get a momentum burst and then I like to trim. Thoughts on net? Yeah, fine. This one's been a little bit choppy, but I actually like Cloudflare as a business. And yeah, I mean, yesterday could have been a decent little spot. I don't know if this thing will end up working or not, but yeah, we'll see. Would be helpful if, you know, your CrowdStrike and PanW were also going higher. I saw PURR on the gap up scan this morning. Not really anything I would do with it. OUST, Oster. OUST. Yeah, again, I can't really buy this name. There's just not a tight spot for me, which is the important part. Right? I want to be able to try something, be wrong, try something, be wrong, try something, be wrong, and then try something, be right, and still have made money after those 5 trades. Right? I know that's like a little difficult for people to comprehend, but that's what you get when you have a really, really tight spot. And I look at OUST, where do I buy it where I get a tight entry? That's what I'm looking at. Ship. Man, this thing has been strong, huh? I mean, this kind of looks like just a pretty simple flat base breakout. How are these others looking? So they would be the boat ETF. Gosh, what names am I thinking about here? STNG, INSW, FRO, TNK. Oh yeah, there goes FRO, TNK, ECO, ECO. I don't know anymore off the top of my head. Yeah, DHT. For tickers like OUST, AVIO, and Q, yesterday is the gap low. Yes. That could have definitely been a spot. So if you were comfortable taking this yesterday and then, you saw this pullback into the rising 20-day and then you bought this gap up, okay, fine. So I guess the question becomes yesterday, how do you buy this gap up? I would have been a little bit uncomfortable with the market gapping up to be chasing a gap up. And, at the very least, sometimes I'm looking for a 5-minute opening range break. If you took this thing, taking out this 5-minute pre-market high, okay, fine. Right? That would have been like a picture perfect entry right at the open. But if you wait for the first, 5 to 30 minutes of the open, because you're looking for a 5-minute to a 30-minute opening range break, then it never really takes, this high out. And you're just kind of left on the sidelines. Sanmina. Yeah, just let it finish building out the right-hand side here. Not really an ugly chart, just fine. Yeah, that's a peacock. Yeah, there's 9 of them. Peacocks, chickens, ducks. Weird. No, I didn't think you'd be able to hear that, but yeah, there's 9 peacocks. Dell. How much gap up is comfortable for you to chase? It's not about how much gap up is comfortable for me to chase. If there's a catalyst there, 50%. I mean, the bigger the gap, the better. But it just comes down to, is there a catalyst, or am I just chasing a gap up because the market is gapping up yesterday? That's a big difference to me. And that's not something that I'm necessarily trying to do. So I'm not trying to chase a gap up on no news, which is effectively, yes, I know the news yesterday, the Iran US deal, but for the individual stocks themselves, there was no real news. And if you're going to be chasing the market like that, I mean, totally fine. Or if you're going to say to yourself, well, the market should, go higher in time, well, then you'll probably get multiple setups. Things don't just normally, aren't runaway freight trains. Normally you'll get a pullback, and, lo and behold, you're getting a pullback today already. So Can I explain how A-Lab is 7 times its average true range? Yes, you're going to take its average daily range, right, which is 7.82, and you're going to divide it by the distance from the 50 simple moving average, which is 60.7, and you're going to get 7.7 for its ATR from the 50. Strata, yes, there are peacocks. How do you size if you know you'll probably lose 4 to 5 times on a stock before it finally goes in your favor? Well, I don't normally lose 4 to 5 times on the exact same stock before it goes in my favor. There are times that I do, but 10% position sizing, with like a 3% stop is typical. Is typical. But again, it also depends your entry tactic, so that matters as well. Peacocks do not fly away. You don't lose 4 or 5 times in a stock unless the stock is circle. Oh shit. Dude, I know the feeling. I took a couple of licks in that one too, and I haven't looked at it since Bitcoin started to kind of break down. That made me chuckle because I knew exactly what you've been going through. A good place to enter Tesla as it approaches the 200. I've got a better idea. How about you just wait until it reclaims the 200? Look at exactly where this thing rejected yesterday. You almost can't make this shit up. Look at exactly where it rejected. It rejected at the 200 day. Okay? The 200 day is $416. You want to guess what yesterday's highs was? $416. So, I mean, just wait until it takes out yesterday's high, and good above the 200, bad below. Can I please explain my recent entries? My recent entries have been pullback buys. So, for instance, on Amazon, which was my latest entry, I literally used a support gap / the 200 simple moving average, $234. So, right here. Literally. When you held right here and you got close to the 200, I took my entry 234 and 234 and a couple cents with my stop at the 200. So using about a 1% stop on a 10% size position. And then this has been Amazon since I bought it. So, you're getting 10 to 1, 12 to 1 on your money in just a couple days. And so pullback buys for me, when the market gets a little bit stretched, is like the only real way that I like to buy. The other one that I bought, unfortunately, and I let it go, big mistake, but I did, was Rocket Lab at $100.90 roughly. And it was just a pullback buy into the 50-day, into this left side peak, and an undercut of that $100 level and reclaim. So I bought it right in here, $100.90 with a stop at low of day. And the problem was that by day's end, you were just closing a little bit too weak. And I was like, I don't want to hold that into the weekend, risk some kind of gap down, whatever. And so I let it go. And then, of course, you get the gap up. And then, again, you get, a nice little push and then a gap up. And you're giving some of that back now. But, yeah, pullback buys. What's my typical drawdown in a normal correction? I like to short, man. So I'll short stocks too. I don't really have any problems with shorting. My typical drawdown, I mean, look, here's one thing that's always helped me mentally. I do not look at my unrealized gains. So, yes, I give back some money off of the highs, But I've talked about this before. Like, let's just say you had $100,000 account and you grew it to like 160 in unrealized gains. So you're up 60,000, 60% in unrealized gains as of last week. And then the market starts to pull back some. You get that nasty down day last week, and all of a sudden your portfolio goes to like 140. Are you down 20,000 since the bull market started, right? In April, or are you up 40? And if I were to have been stopped out of all of my positions and I'm at 140 by the time it's all said and done, I didn't lose 20 grand from my highs. I made 40 from the start, right? And so that normally, like, I don't sit there and say what's like my normal drawdown, because then all of a sudden, like, I'm over here pressing the button trying to get my portfolio back to 160 when I had a bunch of unrealized positions open. You can't really do that because that gets you in the wrong headspace. You have to step back and say, hey, in 2 months, right? In 9 weeks, 2 months in a week, 2 months in 2 weeks, whatever, you say to yourself, I'm up 40% on my money. Not, oh man, if I had just sold the picture perfect tippity top, I'd be at 160,000. No, you can't do that. Otherwise, you get yourself into the wrong headspace and you start clicking the button trying to get yourself back to 160 versus sitting there saying to yourself, in 10 weeks, I made 40% on my money. Find me the piece of real estate that pays you that. Find me the piece of anything that pays you 40% on your money in 9 weeks. Nowhere. So, typical drawdown. And then even during some of that period where the market's pulling back, dude, there are times where I'm shorting. So, I try to not really think about that, because if the market goes through a correction, I will also it's not a guarantee, but I will typically make some money shorting names as well. So yeah, hopefully that kind of answers it. How do you do a 3% stop? The reclaims I'm looking at are usually more than 3% away from low of day. Well, then you're probably trading stocks that are, 10, they move 10% per day in terms of ATR, right? 10, 12, in which case then you size down a little bit more. But a name like Amazon, dude, it's a 1% stop, man. It's literally 1%. With Rocket Lab, I want to say I had like I'll tell you right now, this would have been like a 1.4% stop. 1.4% stop, and I only had a 3% position on. 3%. I was planning on building into that position if it had closed well, which it just didn't do. How do you manage pullbacks? Do you manage pullbacks same as undercut and rally? It depends. Normally, I'm already trimmed into strength, and then holding through pullbacks isn't that big a deal, unless things have gotten quite extended. Did I add anything yesterday? No. Do I think more in percent gains or R multiple? I don't really think about R multiple, because that obviously varies based on your initial risk. And that's another thing too that I don't really do. Some people will try to calculate what can be their R multiple before, the trade really starts to work for them. And the reality is, I don't ever know what my reward is going to be. Here's a great example. When I bought Dell March 31st, I did not think for the life of me that this was going to go do this, right? So I bought this here. And I bought this, what was a support gap right down here, right? Literally 156.90, if I'm not mistaken, right down here with my stop at low of day, right? So less than 1% stop on Dell. My last sell on this thing was $417 on the earnings gap up. So it's hard to like calculate or even care about an R multiple when you catch one outlier like Dell, and all of a sudden, it's going to skew the numbers where you're like, oh, well, historically, my yearly or my quarterly or my monthly R multiple is this. when the one Dell trade skewed everything. So I try to not. I don't really care about R multiple too much. Yeah, that buy was unbelievable. And here was, I think I had it. What day did I have this thing? I don't remember. I bought this in here, if I'm not mistaken, and then I got stopped out at flat on Monday, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. And then I added more here, and then I got stopped out here. This one was probably the most annoying stop. And something similar happened to me on ARM, which was really, really annoying. I added here, and then I got stopped here, and then I didn't re-add back on the 19th. So I added on the 13th, got stopped on the 15th, didn't add back on the 19th. Whoops. But I was still sitting in some from 153s. When you enter a trade like Amazon on the support gap and it's under the 50 SMA, where are you looking for your first cuts to pay yourself? I'm actually looking at Amazon back into the 50 to pay myself a little bit. So I bought some against the 200. If I can just get this nice little 10% push right into the 50-day, I can take a couple off and then just let it work from there. HIMS is below the 200, I think. There's nothing to do with HIMS. Yeah, just leave it alone. There might come a time and a place that this thing gets above the 200, but there's no real reason you should even be looking at this stock right now. There's like 1,000 fucking names that are above the 200-day. Like literally, there's like way too many stocks above the 200-day for you to even be putting any sort of emphasis or care or anything on HIMS. Literally. And I say that with all the love in my heart. Don't waste your time. Maybe someday HIMS will be good. SILC, this is kind of nice, man. A bit thin though. Jeez, so thin. It's probably why it doesn't come up on my scan. Trade $7 million a day. I know a really famous trader out there in the world who would love this stock. Yeah, people wish can love him. So I've seen him buy a lot of stocks underneath the 200, and I give him shit for it every single day. TER, nice. A little bit choppy, though. A little bit choppy. Obviously a new all-time high, but this isn't one that I can go chase. I couldn't buy it yesterday on no news in this gap up, and there's just nothing to do to go chase. Like, there's just nothing there. Obviously a monster chart, but where does one get involved? I don't know. Any interest in healthcare stocks? I mean, Oscar Health to me has like that Dave Ryan ants pattern. It had it back here, and that's kind of when I talked about it. I said Dave Ryan ants. And then, I mean, ugly close gap up, maybe good last, was this Thursday the 4th? I don't really see anything to do with it up here, but Oscar to me is pretty interesting. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. AMKR. Yeah, good a couple days ago. I don't think it would have been a good flat. I mean, it could have been really good on Friday last week. That's what it looks like. Same with that ICHR. That one was also good Friday last week, if I'm not mistaken. A Thursday last week. VSH, yeah, it's nonstop right now. Yeah, good. Let it work. So long as it's above the rising 20 and you own it from lower, just let it work on the rising 20. No problems. Snowflake, fine. You just want software names to go. I'm staring at Snowflake. I'm staring at Okta. I'm staring at Datadog. I couldn't get myself to buy Datadog yesterday because just software's not acting well. So what price did I enter Amazon? I'll tell you right now. $234.12. Dell HPE. Dell still a little bit extended. HPE fine. I've got my eyes on them, but haven't really gotten myself to buy either of them. Frog, not bad off the 20 yet. 234.12 right at the support gap. Yeah, Frog, not bad. Frog against the 20 days, pretty interesting. At the support gap. Yes, picture perfect. Yeah, Frog's not bad. Frog's got to at least take out Friday's highs, call it 80, 90. That looks pretty decent. What filter do you have? I have them on a watch list. So I'm staring at the theme, and if the theme is not moving, remember that stocks move together in a group. If I'm looking at Datadog, but CrowdStrike's not doing anything, Okta's not doing anything, I don't just go and buy, a software stock. I'd like to see several software names moving. They're the same exact trade. They are the exact same trade. What is that blue line indicator I have? Oh, this one? This is just key levels. So you'll get like a prior day high, a prior day low, so that when you're trading it on a day like yesterday, you know exactly where that is without you necessarily needing to mark it out. It's called key levels. All right, guys, I got to get stream started. Much love. I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Yep, Discord time. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Trade them well today. Be safe. Talk soon. Yep, happy to help, Ben. We'll see you tomorrow, brother.